Hi everyone. My name's Anthony. I'm here with six-time world long drive champion Jack Hamm. Six world records, one being 458-yard carry out in Guinness, measured by real surveyors. Think about that, 458 yards with a 43-inch driver. He holds over 10 patents. He's created and sold hundreds of thousands of drivers, including the Hammer, and it's been taken off here in 2020. His Hammer Turbo driver here. One guy here, Rick Shiels, has 800,000 views in under a week on it. So, hey Jack, how are you?
Hey, I'm excited to help golfers play better golf, and I'm also excited to help golfers understand our new Turbo Hammer. I would like to add, Anthony, that I do consider myself the leading designer in golf. I invented the first big head. I invented the air hammer. I invented the first flat shaft. I invented the first see-through driver. And, I'm basically the only human alive that can actually average over 400 yards off the tee. So, that said, I want to try to help golfers lower their score today and help them hit it a lot longer.
Okay, let's go ahead and check into this big review here. That's been taking the golf world by storm by a man named Rick Shiels. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
So I'm back at the academy because I want to test a driver I bought online. I saw it on loads of infomercials. Thought I've got to test this driver because the claims are just outrageous.
Let me preference this first for the golfers.
Okay.
Rick Shields. I'm not sure of his background. I'm not sure of what reviews he's done. I'm not sure what kind of golfer he is. I'm not sure what kind of clubs he designed or what he knows about design or how many clubs he sold. So, that said, I'm interested to see, where Rick comes, what Rick has to say about the Turbo Hammer. And I'm hoping to maybe explain it to the golfers and to Rick exactly the technology behind the Turbo Hammer.
All right.
$55 back in November last year. It's only just arrived now. It took nearly 4 months to get it.
1 second here. I'd like to clarify for the golfers that are listening to this. What Rick said, it just arrived. When we sent, he actually ordered a Turbo Hammer. We shipped it the next day, and quite frankly, our normal delivery is about 10 to 15 days internationally. His club was in customs for custom hold. It sat there for several months. I actually sent Rick about 10 emails and contacted him over phone several times, and he never went to pick it up. So that's kind of why it took so long. And then we reshipped another one to him immediately, and he received that in about 10 days. So,
right.
We try hard. We try very hard to help customers get their products.
All right.
And it's this, the Hammer X driver. I just want to show you one line on here, the world's longest driver. It's a bold claim. Now, the infomercial, if you've seen it, is quite outrageous. Jack Hamm, the guy who made this driver, smashing the golf balls over mountains and claiming that you're going to hit it the furthest you've ever hit it. I thought, you know what? Let's buy one. Let's test it. GC Quad Pro V1s and even test it against a regular driver to see if there's much difference. First off, let me show you the driver. So underneath this head cover, it's kind of white and red head cover, which to be fair, is pretty decent. It's got a little magnetic kind of mouth that opens up. Underneath you've got this, the Hammer X. It's still got the wrapper on at the moment, but notice it is completely see-through. There are holes straight through the driver. Apparently this has got no CC, so it does make this driver illegal for tournament play.
Golfers, let me try to explain the thought behind the driver and the design behind the driver. First off, it's like designed for real speed. All right, that's the thought. That's the design. It is 0 cc's. You see, all drivers, traditional drivers that are out there, they claim 460 cc's. 460 cc's is nothing if you poured water in it in chemistry class, and it would hold 460 cc's of water. And that's pretty much baloney in terms of golf technology. I mean, what you want is, you want it lighter, you want it faster, and the idea behind this is to put the mass in the right spot. And so let's continue, and I'll try to help everyone understand a little bit more about the technology.
The face. Again, it's still got the wrapper on at the moment, but look how big that face is. From bottom to top, it's absolutely massive. And there's a golden rule about this line, apparently. You're supposed to tee the ball up above that line.
Let me explain real quick for Rick's benefit and your benefit the idea of why that face is the way it is. All drivers since the beginning of time have been round on the bottom, flat on top. And that's the way everything is still made today. Our technology flips the face over. And it's flipped over for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives you twice the sweet spot. And for the average golfer, that's huge. I mean, we're going to help everybody hit the sweet spot, have a lot more, ability to be able to make good contact with a golf ball. And secondly, that's what you're looking at is speed. An inverted head is for speed. And I will explain it by like it's shaped like a wing in terms of speed. If you ever watch on a plane when you're taking off, they've got a flap. The flap comes up or down, and the air hits that flap, and that's called push acceleration. That's called lift. It's lifting the plane and accelerating the plane. Same thing with a hammer head, right? The air hits the face. There's nothing behind it. There's no 460 cc's of drag, okay, like all these other drivers. The other drivers are like swinging a Volkswagen through the air. This thing is just pure speed by face design. So let's continue.
To get the most performance out of it. So I've actually had to go out and buy some massive T-pegs to allow that to happen. The other big thing as well is this shaft. You ready for this? I love this line. The world's fastest shaft. And the reason why apparently it's the world's fastest is because it's a flat shaft. So as a normal shaft is rounded, this has basically been squashed. So as you swing it, apparently it's more aerodynamic.
Golfers, let me explain real quick what this truly is. And Rick, this is speed in the shaft. Okay, if you've ever swung a sword through the air, the sword is much faster than a round object. Okay, and you can actually hear it. I mean, you can hear the speed. It swooshes when it swings through the air. And, I mean, it's faster. And the other thing is it absolutely just accelerates the club. So let's continue.
That's the case. Now, one of the things I do notice, I've not measured it against my driver yet, but it does feel quite long. And it's got a little bit of whip to it.
Well, let's explain to the golfers what that is all about, Rick. Number one, the club is exactly the same length of all other drivers. Now, we can custom make it for you, your height, and your age, but it is the same length as any other driver. Secondly, whip, what he's talking about, is actually the slingshot effect. And now let me explain the true ultimate advantage to the flat shaft. It's torque. Having zero torque, because it's flat, it doesn't twist left or right. Round shafts twist and spray the ball all over the place. All right, that's why you see the pros using metal shafts in their clubs, because they don't want that twisting going on. So when you buy a club that has a round shaft, it's going to twist and spray the ball everywhere. This shaft has zero torque, which means you're going to hit it dead straight, and because of the way it's designed, you get the slingshot effect. Kind of like a pole vaulter. If you ever seen a pole vaulter bending the shaft to launch himself over the bar, this is what this shaft does. So that's what you want. You want speed in the shaft. You want that whip. You want something to flat launch the ball. This thing launches the ball 3 degrees higher than any other driver.
Now, I got some spiel through, which is quite interesting to read, but this is the one that I showed you. This is the guy, Jack Hamm. 6-time world long drive champion, and this is the big thing that you're supposed to do. You have to tee it up above that golden line. So let's give it a rip. Let's test the Hammer X driver. Let's see if it is the world's longest driver or whether it's not. Let's hit some warm-up shots and hit the Hammer X driver. Okay, so I've hit a few warm-up shots. I'm going to move into hitting my own driver first. Let's get some baseline numbers before I take some shots with the hammer.
Golfers, let's stop right there for a second real quick, and let's just preference this to help golfers understand this test. Now, remember that Rick is using a driver that he's had for a while, and so I'm sure he's comfortable with it. Also, he used to hitting traditional drivers with a technology that's basically no technology. I kind of like to refer to it as zero technology. All these drivers that are made today, other than our driver, basically, they sound like a tin can. Basically they're zero technology, and it's kind of the big lie in golf. All right, what they promote is basically selling swampland in Florida. I mean, this is called nothing technology. We're not. To be honest with you, these drivers are made like a Volkswagen. I mean, the face caves in. They put a $3 shaft in it, 30-cent grip on it, and sell it for $700-800. So we've always been light years ahead of helping golfers. I mean, what you've seen over the years is these other golf companies, they changed the metal, they add a screw. Now they're calling it flash technology, or they're calling it core rated. You can remember the core rating. That was, again, swampland in Florida, or speed and motion. And the problem is, why didn't golfers get better? Why didn't they hit it longer? Why? Because there's no real aerodynamics in these clubs. And that's what we're all about. What you want to do is design for speed, all right? And you design to hit it straight. So what you're about to see is, we're talking about comparing a traditional driver, Cobra, which is basically zero technology, and you're going to see the world's fastest club with real driver technology and real aerodynamics.
Okay, so my own driver, which is the Cobra F9, I'm averaging it 286 yards of carry, 308 yards of total distance, 160 miles per hour ball speed, and 112.4 miles per hour clubhead speed, which is about right for the driver of this caliber. Now, what I'm intrigued to know is this. As I mentioned on the head cover, the world's longest driver. How much further is it going to go compared to the Cobra F9? The difference is outrageous. Actually, mass, the Hammer X is so much smaller, but the face of the Hammer X.
Let me explain this real quick and try to help Rick understand it as well. All right, it is 0 cc's. The other club looks like it's a Volkswagen going through the air. All right, ours has got no body behind it. It's got a couple totally technological advantages. It's got the inverted face that we discussed for speed, like a wing, and that's push acceleration. It's got speed in a shaft, like a sword. It's faster. It's got the power core. If you see the ball right behind the face, that's where you want to put all the mass. You put the mass right behind the sweet spot, and what that does, that creates energy for you. And if you've ever remembered from physics class, E equals mv squared. Okay, that's the formula for energy. And mass is created with putting the mass right behind that face. Just so you understand, all these other drivers, these zero technology drivers that are made, Cobra, Callaway, TaylorMade, Ping, every one of them is one of these 460 cc drivers, and they're basically how? They're basically like a tin can or a beer can, and that's why they sound like a tin can. And remember this, there's nothing behind that face, okay? Nothing, all right? They've made them thinner so they can kind of tell you that's going to bounce like a core-rated effect. That's all a bunch of swampland in Florida, okay? This driver has huge technical advantages over all other drivers, and it's real technology. One other thing is, our face is the hardest face ever made. That's called deflection rate. And see, the harder that face, the more the ball comes off the face. Our driver, by design, will last over 1 million hits. It'll last you a lifetime. Where all these other traditional drivers, like this Cobra and TaylorMade and Callaway, within 400 to 500 hits, the face is caved in. You need to buy a new one, and you know how much they cost.
Is ridiculously deeper. No wonder you've got to tee it up so high. One thing I do want to definitely check is the length. You know what, actually? It's closer than I expected. In fact, it's the same length, and that's good. I honestly thought that Hammer X was a bit longer. That head must be throwing me out a little bit. But it is the same length as the F9. Right, I'm going to get some GC quad dots on here so we can measure strike and clubhead speed. I'm going to give the Hammer X a rip. Can it beat 286, and is it the world's longest driver? Let's find out. So here we go, the Hammer X. This is one unusual looking driver. It really is.
Well, let's stop right there for a minute, golfers. And again, Rick made a good point. It is totally different, totally unusual. All right. It is one of a kind. There's nothing like it. There's never been a driver made like this. Nobody has this technology. I mean, again, let's review it for the golfers. Let's help them, okay? It's got the first inverted face for speed. It's got the flat shaft. The shaft is speed in the shaft. It's got a power core. You put the right behind the sweet spot for power, okay? It's got a deflection rate where it actually comes over like a shot out of a gun. And finally, it has what's called G-force for speed. It's balanced weight-wise to create real swing speed. So, I mean, you can literally feel it. You can hear it. I mean, it's a real aerodynamic design for speed. So let's see what you can do, Rick.
You know, the infomercial, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is so outrageous, so over the top. Now, the one thing I've just had to go and do, or before, I had to go and buy extra long tee pegs, because they say you have to tee the ball above this gold line that's right at the top of the driver, which seems super extreme. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going for extra long tees.
Golfers, let me just say real quick. You understand that if you teed that Cobra driver up the way that he's showing, you'll just hit a sky ball. You see how it's round and then flat on top? That's the driver shape of every driver, right? There's not much of a sweet spot. And when you look at the hammer, he's talking about this huge sweet spot. Well, guess what? That's going to help you. All right. And remember, all we're trying to do here in our, company and with our golf clubs is help you play better golf and hit it farther. And that's what this is all about. And I'm just trying to help everyone understand the technology behind this. These outrageous claims are actually real claims. Okay. This is real technology versus the big line golf where they're promoting nothing technology.
What I'd normally use. I'm going to hit a handful and see how we get on. Because it might be the first shot goes 400 yards and that's kind of been proven, but I think I might need a few to get used to this. The shaft is so unusual as well. Obviously, it's thinner on one side and thick on the other, but the side that you see is only thick. Right, the Hammer X. It's got 286 yards to beat. Let's see how it gets on. Okay, well, I've made contact. It's okay. It's a strong start. It's got over 250 yards. Let's hit a few more to try and get used to it. The weight of it is very unusual. It feels like the head, even though it's got nothing to it, it feels kind of really heavy weirdly. Yeah, and then the shaft feels a bit more flexible. But first shot.
Rick, let's review what I just told the golfers about that. Good points you're making, okay? That's called G-force. And I know you never felt that before in a traditional driver, but it's called G-force. The way it's weighted, it's going to accelerate itself. G-force, just to explain to golfers, is kind of like if you ever seen skaters on a rink, and they're adding more and more skaters, and as they add more and more skaters, they go faster and faster and faster in a circle. That's what G-force is. It's a gravitational force of creating speed. The driver is designed to create G-force, okay? And, secondly, it absolutely, again, is real aerodynamics. And I think as he's looking at this, he's going to feel that. It's totally different, but he's going to feel it.
It didn't break, and it got over 250 yards. Let's take the positives. It's mad with the driver being see-through. You can see the mat between the driver. I quite like the line on top of the driver. Decent for alignment.
Well, let me say something there, golfers. The line is pretty cool. I mean, it actually helps you line up the shot. So he's making a really good point there. That it's a unique because it has that line, and that's kind of fun for the average guy.
Oh, yeah. That was a bad strike. That felt like I hit the ball where it's asked me to hit the ball, or tee it up right at the top of the head. I felt like I hit the part of the head that literally has no, or part of the face which literally has no head behind it. So far, not so good. Just had a quick look on the analysis. Look at where that last strike mark was. It couldn't have been any higher on the club head.
I don't know about you, Jack, but that doesn't look like a hammer to me. That little, look at that little caption there. It doesn't look like a hammer driver to me. Look at that. So what are they picking up there?
Well, it looks like they have a traditional head where it's round on the bottom, flat on top.
Right.
Obviously, they don't have a picture of our inverted face, because our inverted face, it doesn't matter where you hit it. Again, let me explain that all golf heads have nothing behind it. There's no grid. There's no strength. There's no anything. They're nothing. They went with this correlated thing, with this trampling thing. So there's nothing behind it. So even our thinnest part of this head, which he's talking about, the top of the crown, okay, where there's no crown, but the top of that face is like 10 times thicker than the average driver. So it doesn't matter where you hit it on that face, but he's showing a traditional face, traditionally where you hit it. And guess what? If you hit a driver on a traditional face in that spot, you wouldn't go anywhere.
It would go sky high. So the fact that the hammer was hit there, look at that, on top of the head, and still went 270, your miss hits are still going to go 270. That's amazing, actually. All right.
Yep, absolutely.
I felt like I could have nearly missed that underneath the ball.
Let me stop there for a minute, since you got the side profile of Rick, and okay, for golfers. Okay,
let me go back for a second. There you go.
I'm taking a look at Rick's swing, because one of the things that I'm all about is helping golfers hit the ball better, right? And I could sincerely help Rick with his swing, right? I can tell you that if he was to follow some of my tips, play golf with a bent left arm, and use the twist and tilt hammer motion, I could add 50 yards to Rick's swing almost immediately. I probably could get him to get his Cobra up over 350 yards, all right? And maybe even get the hammer to 390 with Rick. So, but we could help Rick relative to his swing as well with our technology and our swing technique.
Missed that underneath the ball. Well, that's better, and it's nice and straight, to be fair.
Well, that's a good point, golfers. What he just said is nice and straight. And, just so you understand, we kind of talked about this, but the flatness of the shaft and the torque, it's going to help you. If you slice, it's going to cure your slice, right? If you hook the ball, it's going to cure your hook. It's actually going to help you hit it straighter, okay, because of the torque in that shaft. Remember, it's not like a $3 shaft that they put in all these clubs they sell for $700, $800. This is actually flat, and it actually has zero torque, and it's like a slingshot. So it's going to launch the ball. It's going to give you more carry and more roll than any other club. And I'm not, positive that his machine can measure the proper launch angle of this driver, because it does launch different, and it does carry different than any other driver.
And it's a different shape, so that machine can't really pick it up. And if you look at this, his Cobra was going 281 carry. This carry right here, and it's just about to land, is at 282. So it's already beaten his Cobra on the carry. So, and it's not even the third or fourth swing.
Right.
Okay.
There, it landed. That landed at 285. So 4 yards. That hit right there, which he didn't even acknowledge, went further than his Cobra's carry.
Yes.
Seeing glimpses that there's some distance in there. It's not beating my Cobra just yet, but 270 yards of carry for 292 total. Club head speed at the moment is just over 100, 105 miles per hour. The shaft is supposed to be
and he only swung that a half swing, 105 miles per hour, and that still went further than his Cobra. Imagine when he starts making a move at it, what happens?
Well, I think that, with either club, I could tack on an extra 10, 15 miles an hour on Rick's swing with the hammer swing and with the hammer tips. So we could help Rick.
fastest shaft. It's not proven to be the case yet. I'd expect, as I mentioned, with the driver that I hit, my own driver, I was hitting 112 miles per hour. This hasn't got close to that yet. Let's see if it actually can.
Golfers, again, let me just preface this real quick. Remember that Rick is used to using his driver for a while. We don't know how long, but he's been using it for a while. He's used to testing and hitting traditional drivers, all right? Our technology is way different. He made it. It's a big deal. It's a big difference. I mean, nobody has anything like this driver. It's designed for speed, all right? And you kind of understand how to swing it. You got to hit a couple buckets of balls to really get the feel of the aerodynamics. I'm going to make one other point that's really a big deal. In testing a club and hitting 8 balls with a Cobra or what other club, and then testing, going back and hitting my driver with 8 balls, I'm a pro, and I couldn't do that very well. I mean, it would take me a good bucket of balls to pick up the speed from the hammer. The hammer is so quick and so different. I mean, all you got to do is think about it. I mean, you can see it. It feels different. You can hear it. It's different. It's got the flat shaft. It's got the different head, the different way you're teeing it. You really got to give it a chance and just let the club do its work, and not try to overswing it.
And because he's never swung a weighted, like it's a G-force, the G-force technology, it feels different for him. So notice each swing, and you can go back on every swing and watch his swings. They're getting progressively faster and faster and faster and faster. Why? Because he's getting used to the G-force. His whole life, he swung a different swing weight. This is the patented G-force that you have built into this club. And each one of his swings, and he's only taken 8 swings, it progressively gets longer and longer and longer. Imagine if he did 50 to 100 shots, how far he could take it and actually get used to the club. So here we go.
A bit of a theme going on so far. My best I can get out of it is 275 yards of carry. So that's kind of 11 yards less than average with the Cobra. But there's been a slight development. Club head speed has increased ever so slightly. We're now starting to get over 110 miles per hour. Because of that shape of shaft, it makes a weird noise, like a
golfers, let me explain that again, because it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, okay? That flat shaft is speed in a shaft. It's quicker. It's going to sound like a 747 is going through the air in a downswing. I mean, what a great sound, okay? I mean, you got to love it. It feels faster. You can hear it. And one more thing that, we haven't really talked about, it's called the smart shaft. It's the only shaft that adjusts according to how fast you're swinging. You don't need stiff, regular, ladies, or senior. It's one shaft that fits everyone, all right? And it's got 3 kick points depending on the load you put on the shaft, low, medium, high. So if you're a pro, it kicks high. If you're a senior or a lady, it kicks low. It's an amazing technology. It's patented. And, the shaft is patented as well, but it's one-of-a-kind shaft. I mean, you can feel it, and it's just faster through the air. I mean, you got to love that part.
And you make it in a tennis factory, correct? It's not like it's some mold.
Well, if people understood where golf shafts come from, they're all basically made like like you're popping popcorn. They come out of the same plant. They just put a different name on it and graphics. They're all about $3. You're spending $600 to $800 for a driver, but they're $3 shafts. You see, the pros don't use those shafts. If you take a good look on Sunday, most of them are using metal shafts because they like the torque, okay, to keep them straight. You'll notice that all their irons are metal. They don't use graphite, right? But bottom line is this is made in a tennis factory. It's actually a 24 cavity mold. It takes 60 days to make. It's one of a kind. It's the most expensive shaft in golf.
Okay.
Listening from the side almost sounds like it's swinging faster because you get that kind of whooshy noise here, but evidence shows it's not really swinging any faster or going any further.
Evidence shows.
Come on.
Evidence shows, he says. So, but evidence will show in his each swing gets faster and faster and goes faster than his Cobra. So what he's just getting used to the club is what's going on here.
Give it a rip. Okay, that's as hard as I can hit a golf shot. And we see very similar results again. That's gone 271 yards, or just under carry. And I swung that 113 miles per hour So faster than my own driver, tried to crush that as hard as I could, yet the distance is still not even close.
Because you missed the sweet spot, clearly. Does that even make sense to you, Jack?
Well, if you're faster, it's going to go farther. I mean,
unless you miss the sweet spot like he did.
It's almost impossible. I mean, I'm not sure where he's connecting on it, but if you're faster, it's going to go farther. And I can tell you another thing. I know by design, and I know by the way that this shaft launches it, that it rolls a good, in our test, it rolled a good 20 yards longer than any driver out there. So carry distance doesn't always tell you everything, but if you're faster, you're going to get more carry, period. And it is quicker through the air. So, I mean, as he works with it, as you notice, he's getting faster and faster. And I believe I saw one of his clubs, or one of the shots that went 311 yards, but he didn't talk about total distance. I never saw any of his Cobra shots go more than 308, I believe.
Yeah, and this is already, look, 7 swings, and it's progressively, again, go back and watch each swing, progressively gotten faster and faster and faster. And if he hit a whole bucket, he would see this go up even more.
Well, I feel like if he worked with this thing for a little bit, he might be able to get up near 330, 340 with this thing, total distance.
Right.
And I mean, I can tell you that, after, this evaluation, we took out the Cobra and we did some tests ourselves and with the same golf balls, and it wasn't even close. I mean, our Turbo Hammer was out driving the Cobra by over 40 yards. I mean, we tell people, look, when you get the Turbo Hammer, you're going to add up to 30 to 50 yards, and that's a real thing.
Go to a real course. Like, this guy's on a machine that doesn't, first of all, it doesn't even track the hammer properly because it's an inverted face. It's not going to pick it. Go to a real course and hit real balls, and you can see the difference. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, the thing is that ours does launch different. It has different, it has G-force. It has different kick points. It takes a little bit to get used to. I tell everybody that buys a club from us, look, give it some time. You're used to swinging a traditional club. Remember, a traditional club has zero technology. There's nothing technology. I mean, it's got the cheapest shaft, the cheapest head, no aerodynamics. There's nothing to it. Okay.
Well, we've seen. Yeah, sorry, Jack. Go ahead.
No, it's just a lot of hype behind it, a lot of marketing behind it. This is actually, real technology, and it's a great value and a great price, for what you're getting. I mean, this alone, he's showing that right now with his. I don't know how much that driver is, but it's an expensive
800 club. With his custom club fitting.
Ours is 4 times cheaper than his club. And we're already beating him in club head speed. So if he would have stuck with it, and I don't even believe like a test of hitting 7-8 balls and going back and forth is much of a test personally.
It's not a real test because in reality he's hitting his Cobra more like 800 times because that's his real club he uses. And it takes something, and he's only hitting ours 6 or 7 times, and it's already beating his $800 fitted Cobra. But like we hear this all the time. We get testimonials where people be like, I didn't hit it any further. We go, how many balls did you hit? Oh, I went back and forth a couple times. We're like, well, give it a bucket of balls. Next day later, we'll get calls, and this happens over and over again. Oh my God, I'm 50 yards longer. You were right. It took a good bucket of balls to get used to.
I like to refer to, I've got thousands and thousands of great testimonials from golfers over the years. And, you got to remember this. You can't help everybody because golf is a tough sport. I mean, it's a tough sport. We try to help them with a swing. We try to help them with, technology. We try to help them with their putting. But it's a tough sport. But I always think of there was a gal that called me, and she was like 78 years old. She was out in Palm Springs, and she said, I just can't hit this driver. It just doesn't work for me. And she was pretty adamant about it didn't work for her, okay? So I said, just do me one favor and just do what I'm telling you to do, and she called me up the next day and she goes, Mr. Hamm, I have a couple things to tell you. Number one, she goes, I've been playing this golf course. Remember, she was 70. I've been playing this golf course for 40 years. She said, I'm 40 yards farther than I've ever been on this golf course. And she goes, I just love it. And number two, I'm telling everybody I can tell about how great this club is. So that's what I'm all about, is helping people be better golfers. And, I'd like Rick to understand that that's what we're all about, is trying to, help people with their golf swings and have more technology to help them play better golf. I mean, the average golfer, 90% of golfers can't break 100. So let's help them.
Right. Okay.
To the distance. We've got one more shot to go. It just feels like there's, sounds daft, but there's nothing behind the head. Feels like hitting an iron on a driver shaft. That's the only way.
Well, golfers, again, we already reviewed this thing. I mean, it's got a massive face behind it. Nothing like these, core rated, tin sounding, beer can drivers. Okay. This actually has, like I said, 10 times the mass behind it of a normal driver. And guess what? It sounds like a persimmon wood. That's exactly what you want. Would you prefer to have it sound like the persimmon wood or a beer can? So,
Exactly.
they've gotten people used to hearing beer cans when you hit a ball.
Kind of explain it. Okay, last one. I'm going to give it everything I've got.
8th shot. Here you go. 8th shot. Oh.
Yep, if you track it, it's 311.
Oh, look at that. 8th
That
swing.
Shot,
311.
one shot matches up to the average of my own Cobra driver. That one
That's
single
amazing.
shot. It doesn't go 400 yards. It's
Oh.
not the world's longest driver.
Well, let me just say two more things to the golfers here. Number one, I never have ever claimed that I could help anybody other than myself hit it over 400 yards. Okay, so my thing is trying to help golfers add up to 30 to 50 yards. Okay, if I can do that, if I can get you 20 yards, hopefully I made you happy. I'm not telling anybody that they can just buy this club and hit it 400 yards. Okay, so now I could help Rick with his swing. Like I said, if he followed my bent left arm and twist and tilt hammer motion, I could get an extra 30, 40 yards out of Rick's swing, even with his Cobra. Okay, and I would go so far as to tell you that after watching Rick, I can outdrive him with his Cobra driver with a 6-iron. So, I'm more than glad to show him, what I can do. There's a lot of people that don't understand how far I hit the ball, Anthony. I hit an 8-iron 260 yards. I've won numerous contests over the years with my 6-iron. What I'll do is I'll put an exhibition on, and I'll go out, and I'll let everybody hit against me, and I'll pull my 6-iron. I'll beat everybody that's there with a 6-iron. I can hit a 6-iron about 320.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what your bag consists of? Because Jack doesn't go past I don't think you go past an 8-iron anymore in your bag. What's your bag consist of?
I have about 5 clubs in my bag. I've got sand wedge. I have the Dr. Knockdown 80-degree wedge, which we sell. I have Dr. Sand Trap, which is a see-through sand trap, or sand wedge club. A driver, a putter, and then I carry like an 8-iron. That's pretty much it. So,
yeah, and it is to play with somebody like that, and you have to realize why most people carry what, 13 clubs or 12 clubs? What's the standard?
Most people have 14 clubs in their bag. All the pros carry 14 clubs.
Right, and the reason why is because when you watch Jack hit a ball, he's driving most par fours, if not all of them, and he's driver, pitching wedge for all par fives, if not driver wedge, because he hits the ball so far. So that's why he only has 5 clubs, and it's quite amazing to watch. And you can find articles on Jack, and it's all he's won the Phoenix Open against all the whole tour. You beat them all in a long drive competition.
Let me just give you a reference point. I always kind of get a kick out of it. What people don't understand, I hit the driver over 400 yards every time in the air. Okay, and probably my average drive is about 430. Okay, but I always kind of people don't understand. I watch the pros and they hit an 8-iron 150 yards. I hit an 8-iron 260 yards. Okay, and the kind of a fun thing. One time I'm playing in an NFL tournament with 3 NFL players, all strong, bench pressing, 400 or 500 pounds. We've got a second shot on a par 5 of 265 yards, and they're all standing there with their 3-woods. All right, guess whose shot we used? My shot, I stuck it 3 feet from the pin with an 8-iron. They were freaking out. So that kind of gives you a reference point of the power that I put in a golf ball. A lot of that's from my hammer swing, which helps everybody hit the ball. I kind of tell them 50 to 80 yards if you follow the twist and tilt hammer motion swing with a bent left arm. Again, I could help Rick as well with his swing. And, I love to help people play better golf. That's what I'm all about. And I love to provide the ultimate technology. And I just want people to understand that, we're trying to give you real aerodynamics and real head speed and real driver technology. So that's what we're all about.
And you almost had to design your own line of drivers because, for example, this Cobra here or anything, a Callaway, you'd break the club after 10, 20 times anyways with your speed. So you almost had to design the hardest hitting face, a 1 million hit face, fastest shaft. You had to. Because you swing so fast.
Well, I've shattered faces before, just shattered them, with these Callaway and, TaylorMade clubs, just broke them in half. Okay. They're core rated, titanium faces. So, but the fact is that, again, this is, real technology. And,
right.
I just want everybody to understand, it's real aerodynamics. I've been talking about aerodynamics for a long time. All of a sudden, these leading companies are now talking about aerodynamics, okay? And they still haven't got it, okay? I mean, this driver with its see-through face and the inverted face and the flat shaft is real. And it's going to help everybody be a better golfer.
So we got about 30 seconds left of this Rick Shiels video. Let's go. Let's see what else he has to say.
It's very unusual. The advert or the infomercial or whatever you want to call it is outrageously over the top. And what I just worry about sometimes,
Rick, golfers, just hear what Rick said. It's outrageously, over the top because he's used to reviewing traditional drivers.
Exactly.
Okay, he's never had a club in his hand that looks like this, sounds like this, swings like this, with G-force or, teeing it up this way. So, like I said, a few hits is not going to tell you a whole lot, to be honest with you. All I can tell you is that, we guarantee to help you with our designs.
All right. So, let's see. We got 15 seconds left here.
And kind of get potentially tricked into thinking this is going to revolutionize the game. But for 1 minute, it is not the world's longest driver. And don't get tricked into thinking that is the case.
Well, Rick, one last thing. In terms of your review and for golfers' benefit. Okay, first off, I am the world's longest driver. Okay, my club is named after me. I am the world's longest driver. In all our tests against these traditional drivers, this zero technology, we flew it, every one of them. There was not even close. And with total carry and whatnot, it averaged over 40 yards. On every driver we tested.
Okay. So with that being said, do you have any final words, Jack? Or he did a good job. He's got a good following here. Rick Shiels seems like a nice guy, but you can help him a lot.
We appreciate your interest, Rick. We appreciate you sharing our Turbo Hammer with the audience. I just wanted to try to teach the audience and all the golfers about how outrageous or how outrageously different our driver is. And hopefully you understand a little bit more about what our driver is all about.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.